Hey guys, so today I'll be teaching you guys how to use version control using Git locally on your computer using the command line. So firstly, I want you guys to open your command line and let's just create a, let me just go to my desktop. Yes, desktop, and let's just create a directory in that called story. Okay, so, and let's just cd into the story. And I'll just show you guys that the story folder which we just created is completely empty. So yeah, you can just see if I write ls right now, so you don't get anything inside it, so it's completely empty. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a text file. So let's just create that. So how we can create that is just using the touch command. Touch, let's write story1 .txt. Right now I just created a story1.txt file in it, and I can just open directly if I write the open story1.txt file like this. Okay, so the open command is for people who are using the Mac, and if you're someone on Windows, you can just write start story1.txt. So you get a notepad opened over here, right? So let's just write something in this. Hello, my name. Okay, so I wrote something over here, and I'll just save this, and I'll just close this out now. Okay, so now let's create a Git local repository to keep track of the changes we're going to do on the story1.txt file. And to initialize Git, what we can just write is git init. And after writing that, you can just see we initialize an empty Git repository over here like this. So if I open my story folder right here like this, let's just do it like this. Okay, so you can already see me getting a .git folder over here. But for me personally, I just changed the settings of my libraries to get all the hidden folders also shown. But .git over here is actually a hidden folder. And if you're someone who hasn't changed the settings, then you won't be able to see that .git folder. So if I write something like ls over here, you'll just see that I get a story1.txt. But if I write ls of a, I can get you can see all the hidden folders as well. So over here, you can see in this dark blue over here. So .git is a hidden folder. And if you look closely over here as well, this .git folder, you can see it is pretty much very light in color compared to any other folder or file in this directory. So that indicates that it's a hidden folder. Okay. Now currently we are in the story directory, and in order to keep track of the changes, what's going to happen in the files in that directory, we need to add those files to a staging area. And the staging area is just an intermediary place where you can pick and choose which files you want to get committed. Okay, so right now to check if any files inside your directory are added to the staging area, you just write git status. So if I write git status, you can see that I get a story1.txt over here in red, which means that this is an untracked file and it's not added to the staging area. And if for me to add this to the staging area, what I just need to write is git add story1.txt. If I write this, and if I write git status again, you can see that it's changed to a green color, which means that this file story1.txt is now added to the staging area. Now once these files have been added to the staging area, then these files are now ready to get committed, and we can commit them using the git commit command. So what git commit -m, and the -m flag allows us to add a message, and you want to be really specific of what kind of message you want to write, because it indicates what changes you have done from the previous commit to the current commit. Okay, so it just acts like a save point for your the changes you have done. So if I made any changes to story1.txt right now, and if I add a git commit -m and I add a message like I wrote my name inside it. So this indicates what changes I have done inside the story1.txt file. Okay, and this is really explicit. So later on, when I go to the story1.txt file and write something else like my friend's name is Rahul or something, then that, and if I do a get commit, I'd want to write something really specific to what changes I've done. So I'll know what different changes I've made from the previous commit to the current commit. Okay. Now, once I hit enter on it, you guys can see that this is now committed, and I can also check my commit using the get log method. So if I write get log right now, you can see that you can just see what time I've added this commit, who the author of the commit is, who's making this commit, and also it has a specific hash related to this commit. Okay, and you can write down here, you know what kind of what message I've wrote on this commit. Okay, so now let's try to create two more different files inside the story directory. So I'll say touch touch story2.txt, and I'll also create a touch story3.txt. Okay, so let's open them one by one and write something inside them. Okay, so I'll write over here friends name as Rahul. I'll save this. I'll just close this off, and I'll also write something in my third directory. Let's write something simple though, everyone. I'll save this and I'll close this off. Okay, now one thing I'll just tell you guys right now, I've made some changes. I want to add the story2 and story3 to get tracked. Okay, now it's very tedious if I have lots of files to just write get add story2, get add story3, get add story4. So what we can just do is write get add and space and a dot. So this adds all the files to the staging area. Now all the files are added to the staging area. Now if you want to just check that, you can just do a git status over here. And doing git status, just see that so story1 didn't have any changes, so it doesn't need to get added, but story2 and story3 are new files and we've made changes to them, so they're now added to the staging area to get changed. So now once these files have been added to the staging area, you can just commit them out. So let's just do a get commit -m. So let's just write added story2 and story3. So for now, I'm just writing anything, but you try to be as specific as you can when you write these commits. So, and when I press this enter, now they've been committed. Now we can just check the log for them. Now when we check the log, we see that we have made two commits. So this is the very first commit we made right down over here, and this is the second commit we made, and both of them have the different hashes which indicate the which are specific for those commits. And this head over here indicates that which stage we are at. So this is the current commit we're at, and this is head indicates that. Okay, so and you can see, just write the message over here, added story2 and story3, and I wrote Aman. This is my very first commit. Okay, now let's recap what we just learned right now. We created a local directory in which we created 3 stories, right? And we initialized Git. Now, when we initialize Git in that folder, we call that as a working directory, not as a local directory, but as a working directory. But now when the folder, now we create some text files inside that working directory, right? And we made some changes too. And we want to keep check of the changes we make in those text files or folders or anything. So what we do is we need to push it to a staging area before pushing it to the local repository. So this .git folder over here is basically a local repository. So when you do any kind of commit, all of your files get pushed into the local repository. Okay. Now, what's the reason for having that staging area in between that working directory and the local repository? The reason for having that working directory, so the reason for having that staging area is that there might be some situations in which you don't want all of your files, not all of your files, but some of your files not to get added to the local repository for some reason. Maybe you made some sort of changes in the code and you don't want it to get pushed because you might want to do some sort of other changes later on, like something like that, something on the lines of that, let's say. And if that happens, you might not want to push that, might not want to commit that or add it to the local repository. So what you can just do is, the reason for having the stager is just for that. So you can just, branch out different files of which files you want to add into the local repository, which you don't want to. And once you're happy with what files you want to add to the local repository, you can just do a git commit. And once you do a git commit on it, all your files which you've committed out get added to the local repository. So once you've added all the folders to the local repository, that .git folder, those files are now assigned a version, and that version is given by the git commit message that you write. For the very first commit which I did, like I wrote my name, the message I gave was I wrote my name, my Aman or something. I didn't write properly, sorry. So what happens is now that version is given a name as story1. That version is now given a name as I wrote my Aman as the version name. And once I push those other two files, the story2.txt and story3.txt, as the second commit, added story2 and story3, that became a second version. Now when I did that commit, maybe I didn't like those two, the commit I did right now, like added story2 and added story3. The beauty of this is that you can just go back to any previous commit you made. Like if I don't like the story2 and story3 I added, I can just go back to the story, to this commit over here, I wrote my Aman over here, and start coding from again over there. Okay, so I just wrote a clear function over here because it was getting too cluttered up and I just wanted to remove all of that. So, okay, let's continue. Now we can just use a git checkout function, a git checkout command to roll back to the previous commit. Now let's do a practical of it. So what happens is if I open story3 right now, and let's do something like this. I write some gibberish and I don't really like it, okay? And I close this off. Okay, now let's do a git status over here. Okay, so when I do git status, you can see that over here, it's written modified story3.txt, which means that I've modified my story3.txt from the previous commit in which I wrote hello everyone to something new, which hasn't been added to the staging area, or hasn't been previously committed. Okay, so it wants me to now commit this and change this. But for me personally, if I think about it, I wrote some gibberish, but the previous version, what I wrote was something I could have used at some point, right? Hello everyone. It meant something, but this gibberish doesn't mean anything. So for me, I don't want this to get committed, but rather what I'd like to do is, go back to the previous commit. But before that, you can also do one thing in Git, is that you can just check what changes you have done in that. So let's do a git diff over here. So if I do git diff over here, you can just see that previously we had a hello everyone written, and right now I wrote some sort of gibberish over here. Okay, so now you can compare your files also, what kind of changes have been done and what kind of changes were previously there. Okay, what kind of stuff were previously there and what kind of changes you have done. And if you don't really like that, you can compare. You can see hello everyone, something you can't say to anyone, but the gibberish you can't say to anyone. So what you can just do is you can go back to the previous commit, and how you can do that is just by using the git checkout command. If I write a git checkout over here and I write a story3 story3.txt, what will happen is it gets updated. Now if I open my story3.txt, you'll see that it gets replaced with hello everyone. So what this git checkout is basically telling you is to roll back to the previous version of the commit, where you can just find what you wrote was correct. Okay guys, so in this video we learned how to use Git to save data basically on your locally on your computer. But in the next video we'll be using Git. We'll be learning about GitHub and remote repositories. So stay tuned for that, and if you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.